Hello again. So we are learning about angles today. We learnt about the new names for all the different triangles last time, and we're going to be learning about angles today. And guess what? They've got some funny names as well. Now, an angle is where two lines meet, and it's a measure of turn. Now, angles are measured in degrees, so you can use things like centimetres and metres to measure length, and grams and kilograms to measure weight, but angles are measured in degrees. And on the screen you can see a semicircle at the top, and that's called a protractor, and you might have seen one before. They're kind of like semicircular rulers, but they're used to measure degrees and to measure angles. Now, in a circle, as I'm sure you are aware, there are 360 degrees. I don't know why it's particularly that number and not a round number like 100, but that's what it is. So if you stood in a circle, stood at a point and turned all the way around, you would turn 360 degrees. That's a whole turn. Half a turn is 180 degrees. And a quarter of a turn is 90 degrees, which is the same as a right angle, a perfect corner. And you can see there on the 90-degree angle, there's the little square in the corner which tells us that it is a right angle. So if you imagine if you put your hands together, one on top of the other, a bit like a crocodile with its jaws closed, if you open up your top hand as if it's a crocodile's jaws opening about to snap, then you are creating an angle, and depending on how much you open up your hands depends on the angle that you've created, and the bigger that the higher you raise your top hand, the bigger the angle that you are creating. You might even be able to reach a right angle, and then you can go back down again. So you are opening up, creating a turn, creating an angle. And so angles are measured in degrees, and there are different types of angles. There's different ways to categorise them, and we're going to learn those names now. So here are the different types of angles, and they've got some funny names again, but we're going to learn them today, and actually I think you're going to learn them pretty quickly. So they are categories of angles. There's a name for the angles that are less than 90 degrees. We've got our right angle, which is 90 degrees. And then we've got angles which are greater than 90 degrees and upwards from there. So let's have a little look at these different types and try and think of a way to remember the names, just like we did with the triangles. So we've got acute angles. Acute angles, and these are the smallest angles. These are the angles that are less than 90 degrees, so less than a right angle. Okay, it could be 45 degrees, it could be 89 degrees, it could be 2 degrees, as long as it's less than 90. So these are the smallest ones. Now, the way that I remember these angles is because they are the small angles, and if you look at the word acute, it's got the word cute in it. And things that are cute, oh, no, oh, look, and a little cute baby. Things that are cute are often small. And so we say acute angle, ah, and that helps us to remember that it's cute and it's small. Acute angles, ah, and they are less than 90 degrees, so they are the small ones. Okay, small and cute. Let's have a look at another one. So a right angle, we know a right angle, exactly 90 degrees, and often shown with a square box to show the measure of turn, the angle in the corner, which is a giveaway that it is a right angle. And a right angle, you imagine this is like the perfect angle. Quite a smug angle, okay? Thinks, oh, I'm right, yes. So to remember this one, I often think right angle, because you can imagine them being like, yes, I'm right, because they are perfect and they are correct. They are a perfect corner. So we've got acute angle, which is small and less than 90 degrees. And we've got a right angle, which is the perfect corner. It's right. And it's always exactly 90 degrees. Let's have a look at the other one. Now we also have obtuse angles. Obtuse angles. Now an obtuse angle is greater than 90 degrees. Okay, so bigger than a right angle, but it's less than 180 degrees. And I'll talk to you about what 180 degrees means in a moment. But it's just important to remember that it's not just bigger than a right angle, it's also less than 180 degrees. Now, an obtuse angle is a big angle, okay? It's bigger than a right angle, it's bigger than an acute angle. And this is an obtuse angle. It's a bit like a fat angle, and it reminds me of Mr. Greedy. Obtuse angle. And if you say it in that funny voice, it does help you to remember that it's big, because the word obtuse probably doesn't mean very much to you. So you need to think of it as obtuse angle, because that might help you to remember that it's big. It's a big angle, bigger than a right angle, and less than 180 degrees, which we'll talk about in a moment. So we've had acute angle, less than 90 degrees. It's a little one. A right angle, because it's exactly 90. It thinks it's always right. And we've got an obtuse angle, which is greater than 90 degrees. Now, down the bottom here, which looks like a sun rising or a sun setting on the horizon, this is exactly 180 degrees, which is half a turn, half a circle, which is why it looks like a semicircle. Now, this is a straight angle, because basically it's opened up to the point where it's created a straight line, a bit like 6 o'clock on a clock face. And that is exactly 180 degrees. Okay, it's half a turn. So if you're facing one way, you're now facing the other way. If you had two lines and you opened one of them up, when the lines were lying flat, a bit like a book lying flat on a table, it's 180 degrees, it's straight. So our obtuse angles are bigger than a right angle. They're greater than 90 degrees, but their limit is when it reaches a straight angle, which is 180 degrees. And then we've got another angle that comes in after that. So the remaining angle is called a reflex angle. Now, a reflex angle is greater than 180 degrees. So we've got to the point of it being straight and looking kind of like a flat line, a straight line, and then it keeps going. And so this is when you have an angle that is opening up even more, and it's approaching a full circle, which is at 360 degrees. Now, a reflex angle, it almost looks like it's bending back on itself. And so it reminds me of someone who is very flexible. It's a reflex, a flexible reflex angle, because it has opened up, and I bet you can try and do this with your hands, but I don't think you'll get very far. You open up your angle, and it goes past 90 degrees, it reaches a straight line, and then it keeps going. And so it's a very flexible reflex angle. And these angles are greater than 180 degrees, so they're greater than a straight angle, and they go all the way up to 360 degrees, which would be our full turn, which is when it would start again. So a reflex angle. Now we have to show these, as you can see with the green angle circle. You can see that it's gone all the way round, and it looks a bit like a green cake that someone has taken a bite out of. And it's important that we show these by showing the turn that it's done all the way round, because we can see that one's a reflex angle because of how it's more than half a circle. And you can see that actually on the other side, where the bit of the cake has actually looks like it's been eaten, here we would be left with another angle there. And we could actually, if we knew what this angle was, this flexible reflex angle, if we know that if we continued round we'd have 360, we'd be able to work out how much further we'd need to go. But it's important, if we've got a reflex angle, you're going to have a circle, an angle circle like this, which will be bigger than half a circle, bigger than a semicircle, and it would have kept on going round. So our flexible reflex angle. So we have an acute angle, less than 90 degrees. A right angle, exactly 90 degrees as a corner. An obtuse angle, which is greater than 90 degrees, but less than 180. We've got the straight angle on the bottom right, which looks like our sun rising, which is a straight angle, a straight line, half a circle, half a turn. And then we've got our flexible reflex angle, which is when the angle continues, the turn continues, and it's greater than 180 degrees, and it's on its way to approaching a full circle at 360 degrees. Now I'm going to show you with a special drawing program online a little bit more about how you could draw these angles. Okay, so this is a website where you can draw angles, and it will show you the measurement as the number of degrees. So we start at 0 degrees. Now remember that an acute angle is less than 90, so it could be any of these. Okay, it's still less than 90, so all of this is an acute angle, all of this is an acute angle, until it gets to 89 degrees. That's the last acute angle you could have, because then it reaches 90 degrees, and that is a right angle. Okay, perfect corner. And then we continue through. We are now into obtuse angles, which are larger than 90 degrees. Now, it could be, an obtuse angle could be 91 degrees, because that's not a perfect right angle. Okay, but it could be any of these. This is an obtuse angle, opening up all the way until we get to 179, because 1 degree more would make it 180, which is our straight angle, our straight line, our half turn. And then we continue, and these are now all reflex angles. The flexible reflex, all of this side, you can see it flexing like a ballerina or a gymnast, all the way around, reflex angle, until we reach a full circle at 360 degrees. Which then starts the turn again, and you can see it's gone back to 0. So I am going to set an angle, for example, this one, and I want you to tell me whether it is an acute angle, a right angle, an obtuse angle, or a reflex angle. What do you think? This is an obtuse angle, because it's greater than 90. But less than 180 degrees. Okay, let's do another one. What's this one? What type of angle is this? This is a reflex angle, the flexible reflex, because it's gone over 180 degrees and it's flexing around to reach a full circle. Okay, what about this one, 94 degrees? It is an obtuse angle again, because it is greater than 90 degrees. Even though it's only slightly greater, it is greater than 90 degrees. So it's an obtuse angle. Let's have another one. What's this one? 15 degrees. Of course, it's an acute angle. Because it's smaller than 90 degrees. And what about this one here? 90 degrees is a right angle. That's right, because it's exactly 90 degrees. It's a perfect corner. So we have had, let's just recap very quickly those types of angles. We have got an acute angle, less than 90 degrees. We've got a right angle, exactly 90. We've got obtuse angles, greater than 90 degrees, less than 180 degrees. We've got our straight angle at exactly 180 degrees, which is half a circle. And then we've got our flexible reflex angles, which are greater than 180 degrees, so greater than a straight angle. And they keep on going all the way around and can reach a full circle 360 degrees. So anything greater than 180 degrees is a flexible reflex angle. So let's see, I'm going to test you now and see what your angle knowledge is like. Okay, so here are 8 different angles, and I want you to see if you can work out which type of angles they are. So there might be some acute angles, right angles, obtuse angles, and reflex angles. And I want you to have a look. You might want to write down the numbers and write the angle next to it. And you could just write A for acute, RI for right angle, O for obtuse, and RE for reflex. So you don't have to write out the whole thing. But just so that you can work out quickly which angles, which numbers would match each type of angle. So do pause and take time to talk it through or write it down, whichever you prefer. And then I'll go through the answers. All right, so pause now and have a think. Which type of angles are they? Right, so here are the answers. So do make sure you pause if you need some more time. Number 1 is an obtuse angle. It's bigger than a perfect corner, bigger than 90 degrees, but it hasn't reached a straight line. So 1 is obtuse. 2 is acute. It's very close to being a right angle. It's probably just slightly less, maybe 86 degrees or so. That is an acute angle. Number 3 is also an acute angle because it's small, smaller than 90 degrees. Number 4 is a right angle. Telltale sign. You've got the square box in the corner, which shows it's a perfect corner. Right angle. Number 5, obtuse. Again, it is greater than a right angle. Number 6, a flexible reflex angle. You can see that the turn has gone over a half circle and it's keeping on going. It's a reflex angle. Number 7, acute. It's a little angle again. It's an acute angle. And number 8, you guessed it, is a right angle. Again, we've got the telltale sign of the square box in the corner. Sometimes it's not always there, and so you would have to work it out a different way, but that is a very good sign that it is a right angle. Okay, so on the triangle shoot game, which I showed you on the triangle video, I'm going to show it to you again now because there are 2 levels on there which will help you with your angles. Okay, so back to the triangle shoot game. Last time we played the bottom section, the triangle game, and we're going to look at 2 of the different games on here during this video. But first of all, I'm going to show you the top one, so angles. So the top one, we're going to do relaxed mode again. Very similar idea to the triangle game, but this time you've got some floating angles that you need to shoot with your target. You're looking for the angle that it says, and you're having a look at the angles that you've got floating around. So I'm looking for an acute angle. So remember, that's a small angle. Where is it? Here is one. Oh, they are moving quickly today. A right angle. Now, dead giveaway. I bet you can spot a right angle with the square angle box. Obtuse. There's a big one. Oi. Didn't want me to get it then. Acute. This one is a smaller angle, if I can catch it. Oh, goodness. Right angle. Here it comes. Obtuse, right angle. Come back. Obtuse, there's a big one. Acute, oh look, here it comes. And obtuse, there we go. Oh, don't run away from me. So there we go. You can have a go at that game too, and I'll put the link under the video. Right, now just before we finish off, I want to show you one more thing. So just to recap, I'm going to talk to you about angles in triangles, but just before we get there, just to remind you, we've got our equilateral triangle, everything is equal. We've got our isosceles triangle, like an icy mountain, two sides the same. We've got a right angle, which has a right angle, and we've got our skew width scalene, where all the sides and angles are different, so it looks a little bit wonky, a little bit skew width. Now I'm going to talk to you about the angles which you find inside a triangle. So here we have some different triangles, and the angles in each corner are written in. Remember that you get an angle where two lines meet. So inside a triangle, you have three different angles because there are three corners. Now some of these triangles are equilateral, some are isosceles, some are scalene, and some are right angled. Now I've got a fun fact for you. All angles inside a triangle add up to 180 degrees. In a circle, a full circle, we have 360 degrees, but in a triangle, all the angles have to and always add up to 180 degrees. So if you have a right angle somewhere, that means that's 90 degrees already. So that means that the other two angles have to also add up to 90 degrees to create a total of 180 degrees. It's just one of those maths law things which is really cool, that all the angles always add up to 180 degrees. That's maths for you. So we can use this to help us work out missing angles in triangles, which we won't be doing yet. But we can also have a look at the angles in the triangles, and it can help us to work out whether they are equilateral, isosceles, scalene, or right-angled triangles. So I want you to have a look at the 6 triangles we've got here. I would like you to work out which are equilateral, which are isosceles, which are scalene, and which are right-angled triangles. Now remember, equilateral triangles, we don't have the side lengths here, but we know that all the angles in an equilateral triangle are equal. In an isosceles triangle, 2 sides the same, but also 2 angles that are the same. Scalene, remember, skew with scalene, everything is different, so everything is going, all the angles and sides will be different to each other. And a right angle triangle, you are looking for that right angle. So spend some time just to have a look at these triangles and label which ones you think are which triangles, which types of triangles, and then I'll go through the answers. So please do pause now, have a think. Okay, so here are the answers. So first of all, let's see if we can find any equilateral triangles. There we go. We've got one equilateral triangle. All the angles are 60 degrees. That adds up to 180. Remember, everything is equal. It's an equilateral triangle. Any isosceles? Yes, we've got one there. And we've got another one there. So isosceles, you're looking for 2 angles that are the same. 2 sides the same, 2 angles the same as well. So we've got 2 68-degree angles on the one on the left and 2 31-degree angles on the one on the right. And obviously 31 degrees is less than 68 degrees. So the other angle needs to compensate for that, and it needs to be bigger in order to make up 180. So here we've got 118 degrees, we've got an obtuse angle, so that the whole thing adds up to 180. But over here we just need 44 degrees. And let's have a look what else we've got. We've got a scalene down there in the bottom right corner, because all the angles are different, all the sides are different, it's a bit skew with, it's a bit wonky, and all the angles are different, so it's a skew with scalene. And then we are left with 2 right angled triangles. Now we've got the square box in the corner to show us 90 degrees, but if it told us 90 degrees, we would have known that it is a right angle in it. So there's a right angle. Now the top one, the other two angles are the same. That's actually also an isosceles triangle, a right-angled isosceles. And the one at the bottom, we've got the other two angles are different. So actually all the angles are different there. We've got a 90-degree angle, but actually it's also a scalene. It's a right-angled scalene. So that there's two different types there of right-angled triangle. I wonder how you did. I hope you did well. I'm just going to pop back to the triangle shoot game just to show you the last level that we haven't had to go on, and then we'll finish there. Last level that we haven't looked at yet on the triangle shoot game is the one in the middle. Now it says right, acute, obtuse, and it's got triangles as well. So we're looking for angles but in triangles this time. Relaxed mode. Okay, so it will say obtuse. All right, so a bit like the last one, you're looking for angles, but you are looking for them in triangles. Okay, now it's a bit tricky, this game. It does take a little bit of getting used to. But I'm looking at the moment for a triangle that has a very obvious obtuse angle, and I can see one floating around at the top in pink. There we go. And now I'm looking for an acute angle or an acute triangle. Now, an equilateral triangle has acute angles in it because they're all 60 degrees. But I'm looking for a triangle that has all acute angles, and I can see a light green one up here. There we go. Now I'm looking for one with a right angle. That's easier to spot because look at the square boxes we've got in the corner. There we go. Looking for obtuse now. Again, I can see one here, this obtuse angle in the corner. Another right angle, another acute. Okay, now this light green one here, all of the angles are acute. Okay, they're not, I don't think they're all exactly 60 because you can see it's a little bit skew width, but they're definitely still all less than 90. So that's an acute one. Another right one, light blue over here, another obtuse. Okay, so we want an angle that is definitely an obtuse angle. I can see a pink one hiding there under there, but there's also a dark green one floating around. Oh, there's the pink one. And looking for acute angle, here we go. So this looks like an equilateral triangle, it looks quite perfect. All of those will be 60 degrees. And another obtuse. Okay, another obtuse. I'm going to get one of these green ones down here. All right, so there's that game for you, and that's the last section that we haven't played. Remember that both of these bottom levels here have a harder level, which is where the triangles are kind of rotated in different ways, so they don't necessarily all look the same. They might be more difficult to spot. You can have a go at that too. So I'll put the links to those underneath the video. I hope this helps. We haven't learnt about different angles yet. We haven't learnt about different triangles yet, but I really hope these two videos made a difference and you'll be slightly wiser about those funny names now. So we've got our equilateral, everything is equal, isosceles, two sides and angles the same, like a mountain, the skew of scalene, and we've got our acute angle, our right angle, exactly 90 degrees, our obtuse angle. And hopefully those funny ways of remembering them will help you as well. Thanks for listening.